Hi folks, we are here for a special outdoor viewing of our usual chair yoga class. I'm so glad you are all here with me today, enjoying this beautiful scenery and freshness. So let's begin. As usual, find your seat. Be as upright as you can, comfortably there, and balanced on your chair. And taking some full, complete breaths. Let some shoulder rolls move through that release any tension that just doesn't need to be there anymore. That's it. And then let those shoulders settle and balance out as best you can. Lengthen up through your spine. Feel the crown of your head reaching up into the leaves and the tree and the sky above. As you can imagine, you're right here with me in this beautiful outdoor environment. And take those full, complete breaths. Maybe also including some shoulder shrugs, engaging them, squeezing them up by the ears, and then let it go. And again. Very good. A few more times if that's feeling good to you. One more for me. Then really let things release, relax, and re-lengthen back up through the spine. Feel into your hips and pelvis. Do a little side-to-side shifting, maybe even a little bit of repositioning on your chair so you feel quite balanced and in a good place. Maybe a little bit further forward on the seat of your chair, providing that bit of room behind you that we might be moving into here in just a little bit. But for now, let's do these raw marching steps, or you may want to start with alternate heel lifts. Both are good. Some may be more accessible than others, but if you can work both of those in some way that feels right. Excellent. And then lower back on down. Plant the feet. Sit up nice and tall. Full, complete breaths, shoulders moving a little bit more down and back if possible for you. Feel strength, feel tone all through your abdominals. Feel that inner engagement, keeping you nice and solid as you choose to not only lengthen up and out through your spine, but also lengthen forward. You can use a little bit of support with arms, but then coming back upright, and now toning even more as you choose any degree of recline, and then come back up to center. Work through those angles and really investigate what is the best angle, range of motion for you, that you get this wonderful tone, but not pain or strain or losing your ability to take full, complete breaths as you hold. And it can be tricky, but it's worth practicing and making sure the breath can move through, even if you're feeling so good, strong, and toned through here. I'm going to do a few more, maybe a little more rhythmically. That's it. Very good. And then sitting upright, nice and tall. Let's pick up your right leg or foot. Give it some support. See how it would feel, hugging up and in. Maybe even a few circly movements with the foot ankle, or at least some pointing and flexing. Yeah. Good, and then you can place that one back down. Taking into the other side. A little hug up and in as it feels good. Remembering that sometimes that up and in angle for some people in your hip socket might be a little more out to the side on one or both hips. So do work with that, always exploring. And then again, some foot ankle movement as it feels good, which may be more pointing and flexing. Perfectly fine. Good. Okay, whenever you feel complete, that side of yours, go ahead, bring it on back down. Both feet, sitting tall, nice full complete breaths. Let's take it through some shoulders and arms. I'll start with just one side, and it can be a sweeping out and reaching up through the leaves and sweeping back down. Might be this different on another side if you've had a shoulder injury. So always remember there is this option to reach up more along your central channel and midline and then come back on down. Reaching up. Feeling even more extension as long as it's pain-free. There we are. And one more to each side, your style. And maybe getting a little more feeling of expansion and stretch through the side body. And finally to your second side. Good full breaths. And bringing it on back down. Shake out. Maybe some shoulder rolls that are much like doing the backstroke. Nice. And then let's let those shoulders relax and balance out once again. Reaching out through arms at an angle or position in front of you that feels good. And then inhale to open out wide and then come on forward. Inhale, expand. Exhale, pull in. Feel that full range of motion, which for some might be more of a short lever pull back, especially if you've got furniture or armrests on your chair to work around. But if that open wide angle at any degree feels good, feel that coming through as you like. One more time. And then finally on an inhalation, let's re-lengthen spine out from the arms, chest, shoulders nice and broad, and lower back on down. Now this time, how about shoulder rolls more like you're doing a crawl stroke? And full breaths as everything soaks in, absorbing all this great stuff. We're bringing it into the body, awareness, blood flow, warmth, range of motion. And then plant both feet and lengthen up through the spine to allow both shoulders to balance out as best as possible. Marching steps again. Let's take those in. That's it. And then replanting those feet. Sitting up nice and tall. Again, rocking, shifting forward, up and back. A little more forward, maybe a little more back. Your back will let you know, especially that low back area if you bring in a little too much pressure or strain. And then finally reaching back upright, nice and long and lengthened. How about both arms now, reaching up and overhead. Full complete breaths, exhaling, coming on down. And exhaling as the arms come on down. Feeling through that comfortable full range of motion for you. And if you'd like, let's add in some vocalizing. The next few exhalations as the arms lower down, let's go A. Really feel that vibration in the throat, but also the activation of the facial muscles. Let's go through our next vowel sound. E. Good, nice peeled back lips showing lots of teeth, really creating that wonderful sound. And we'll go for our next one. I. Good, let that absorb as you feel ready. Next inhale, fish lips or circle lips here. Oh. And one more, our beautiful U sound. Let's really get some projection going on this one here. U. Let it come out as long as it can. And you can shake out the shoulders, arms, hands, and take those full, complete, natural breaths that feel so good to you. Good. All right. Arm curls. Let's do opposite arm curls. Again, clearing your chair, which may be a little bit more up and out at the side, perfectly fine, whatever works best. And then either alternate heel lifts with those arm curls, or maybe lifting into full marching steps as well. You can take it nice and slow. You can really slow it down. Really feeling all those deep core muscles. And also, you have these options to come on through and crank up the volume a little bit here. Get it moving a little bit faster. Warming things up a bit more. Taking those full, complete breaths. And then replanting both feet back on down. sit up nice and tall. Both shoulders rolls this time. So forward, up, back, and down. Up, back, and down with your full, complete breaths. A few more times. Excellent. Last one. Let those shoulders release more back and down. Full upright, long length of spine. Back to the hips and pelvis. We had done these side-to-side shifts in our early warm-up here, and I'd like to see if maybe we could expand a little bit more to really get a lift of one hip away from your chair, which you might like to have your hands on the seats of the sides of the chair to make sure that that's going to keep safe if you're going to get that real good lift, which also includes a side crunch of the obliques here and a little bit more of a side opening stretch with the hip that's still grounded into the chair. So working with that as it feels good, then possibly adding in the arm reach that can go along with this. So as you're lifting, say, your left hip away from your chair, right hip stays grounded and right arm reaches up into the space above. Then coming back on through, then through other side and down. Taking some nice full breaths. Inhale, lift, reaching up. And lower, and lift, inhale, and lower. How about one more time? To me, these feel so good. And lower in the second side, last time. Excellent. And bringing it on back down. Shake out, roll out, what would feel good as you reposition and plant. Do a little hand yoga now. Take your hands out in front. You could even rest the backs of your hands on your thighs or hover out there, whatever you like, and make some good strong fists, and then stretch all the fingers out. Now here's where you have a great opportunity to help support one hand if needed to really get more range of motion. And then you could also add in wrist curls, and maybe also include arm reaches from the shoulders. So you've got fists curling in, wrists curling in, and elbows lifting, and then extension out through the wrists and arms, and stretch out wide, and again. Now, one other element we could add into this, and that is your rocking. So as you extend and lengthen out, lengthen forward through your torso, coming back up and maybe leaning back a bit as you curl everything in. Extension, come forward, curl in, flexion, and lots of good tone in the abdominals. And of course there's another element we could add into this too if you would like, and that is an alternate leg lift, and then lower as you extend forward and out, and opposite. You can always make any of these more subtle and go back to some of the more basic movements that didn't combine all this together. But if you can, maybe one or two more times all the way through for you, please do. And now I'm on my second side, so balancing it out, press into both feet, lengthen up through the spine, roll out through the shoulders, and again, bring the hands into a place where you can see them, either hovering or resting. Let's go right into dexterity now. You could do both hands at the same time, or focus on one hand at a time, which for some of us means that you can help out that hand with your other one to make those connections or to help the re-extension, really coming back on out. Yes, and then of course, when you're ready, alternating, other side through, really getting those reaches. And of course, as you do, you have the option of doing both at the same time, or extra challenge here. If you're starting with your thumb and your first finger touching on one hand, try starting with your thumb and your pinky finger on the opposite hand, and then go through at the same time, but never touching the same finger to thumb on one side and then the other. So lots of concentration there, coordination for sure, And even if you mess up, no big deal, but an attempt at all that is really good stuff. Let's bring the palms together. Prayer position, helping to line up all the fingers, the thumbs, and give a little bit of a press here if that's not painful in any way. You could keep the hands low, you could bring them up higher, you could open the elbows out higher. You know your joints, they'll let you know as you move back and forth, more through the wrists than anything else. Obviously you're getting some shoulder there too, but try getting that good stability, flexion and extension through your wrists. Yeah. And then point your fingers straight on up towards the ceiling. One more here. Let's do Starfish Push Up, starting with a strong connection of all the pads of your fingers and thumbs, pressing in together a little bit more. So there's more leverage, more weight bearing going through not only wrists, but all the joints of the fingers. Make sure that that is pain-free for you though. And then as you are ready, kind of soften the press of the fingers and stretch out as the palms come closer together, and then push back out and away. Stretch it open. That's where the starfish really gets to spread out there. And then now they're pushing together and moving the center of the palms way and back. A couple more times. How are you breathing right here and now? And then coming to the stretch to that degree that feels good, and then open out wide, lengthen, and lower back down. Full, complete breaths as you absorb. And taking your right leg into your hand or placing a prop under your foot, which could be the floor, and moving out from the hip, out and in. Nice full breaths. Could stay down low, might like it up a little bit higher, or even circling. You can decide with every motion what's going to be best for you as you do your last few hip opening movements. Good. And then bring it back in, place back down, sit up nice and tall. Let's take it to your left side. Scoop up the hand or the leg with your hand and explore. Out and in, maybe more subtly, maybe down low, maybe coming up higher, possibly even circling. Good. Few more as it feels right for you. And then coming back to center and placing that foot on down. So next we're gonna really make use of that hip opening and maybe even a little bit of inner thigh stretch, which we'll expand upon here by widening out your feet and getting them to position in the best way for you so that your knees are bent at about 90 degrees and they're pointing in the same direction that your feet are pointing towards. And so maybe taking that moment or two to really align and see how your knee joint versus your ankle joint and how your feet and toes are pointing in that same direction that will very much support your knee health and proper alignment. This is more important as you would become more weight bearing, but even in these kind of things we want to really work that good strong stability in your body awareness. Sitting up nice and tall, full complete breath. Let's do a right arm reach up into the space above, full inhale. And exhale, bring it on down. And the other side. Good. And lower. Now we can start to expand upon this. So the next time you're reaching your right arm up, maybe you have your left hand on your thigh or on the side of your chair to help you hold here for about 3 full breaths. And reach, 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 reach up and through. Feeling even more of that awesome expanded side body stretch. And then lowering down and placing your right hand in a way that can be very helpful to extend, expand, reach through your left arm side. Full breath, maybe even a little bit up and over. That's it. And then coming back on down. Now, building upon that, possibly, we're going to take a side opening lunge, unless this position with both knees bent and feet planted is better for you in any of your joints. Please honor that. But if it could work for you to keep your right knee bent and opened out to the side as much as possible, and then extending out through your left leg at whatever angle, however it works for you. A good flex to the foot will help to stabilize these joints more, but you could change that depending on what really feels best for you, which might be back to here. Then, with that positioning, notice how your hips and pelvis are. You want to still be as balanced and aligned here on the seat of your chair as possible. And then, with the right hand in a supportive position, chair or thigh, let's reach up through left arm. Reaching up and out. Straight up is awesome. Maybe a little bit more up and over. I come to rest my forearm on my thigh here at some point, and that feels good to me, but really explore what's best for you. And you may also take a moment here to turn to look down and again assess your knee ankle alignment and how the knee is pointing right out towards your right toes. Full inhale and exhale. Inhale, come on up, long and lengthened, maybe reaching out in opposite directions. That's our lovely warrior two in a traditional position. And then you bring it on back to center, bending the knees, bringing them in a little bit closer, doing some marching steps and any other little rearrangements that you need to come on back and absorb in. And also notice how maybe you feel very different from one side to the other. So let's explore our left opening knee, planting that foot, and either bending and keeping the knee bent on the right side as well, or finding that extension out through the leg from the hip and working the stability for those joints all the way up into the hip, even into the low back, to be ideal for you. And finding that nice length, balance in the hips and pelvis, left hand placed, thigh, chair, whatever you like, and reaching up and out and through, full breath, and over. And arm chair, arm on the thigh, any way that works well for you. And taking another few moments to reassess the knee, ankle, foot alignment, making that ideal, and also honoring your head, neck positioning. When you are feeling ready, inhale your way up and out, long lengthened spine, both arms reaching out. Maybe your palms are up, maybe they're down, maybe one's up and one's down. And taking your full, complete breath. Let's bring it on back into a sense of center and bring the legs and the feet back too. Taking some good marching steps, rearranging all you need to, absorbing this great stuff. Sit up as tall as you can. This is where I love to have you imagine some kind of a magnet and a light right above you that draws even more length up through your spine and helps keep you centered along that central channel. And so however that helps you feel like you are strong, long, and stable right through your spine, your whole central channel. And with that, let's rotate. Start subtle. Open across the chest and shoulders as it feels good, and rotating without shifting your body weight, leaning or hunching into any direction at all away from your central channel. Full breaths, using the rotation all the way up through the head and the neck if you like, or your other option is to keep your nose pointed pretty much straight ahead, letting the chest and shoulders rotate, but that actually adds in a little bit more of a interesting ability of the spine, and that is the ability to actually rotate in opposite directions more or less at the same time. It's more up there in the cervical spine and into the thoracic spine like I'm demonstrating here, but it's worth exploring if it feels good. I'm going to do one more round and then back to center, squaring off, lengthening, and lowering on back down. Nice full breaths. I'd like us to take a nice gentle seated forward fold next. So feel that foot positioning that can support you, a little bit more of your weight perhaps, because you are going to be either using your hands, arms, or a supportive prop, perhaps on your legs or on your lap, and coming forward with this lovely length and relaxing and shifting your body forward and into that support. A bolster is great, nice firm bolster. Arms obviously can be used in a number of different ways. As you really get back into your breath, how can you let go of some of this chronic tension that tends to be in our backs in one way or another as you hold this pose for a bit longer? And then, as many of you have discovered, if your body type and your ability to breathe really is fine, good, no issues, why not come a little bit deeper into that forward fold, more of that draping over your legs. Arms or hands can rest in any way. This might be a time for little wrist stretches, or getting in contact with your toes and giving them a little bit of individual attention. A little stretch that might feel good, lengthening out, whatever feels nice. Let's take about 4 more full, complete breaths here in your forward fold. Good. Releasing up into the head and the neck even just a bit more, a few more breaths. And then feeling that sense of center elongating up through your central channel. Arms and hands could be useful for support as well as you come fully upright, sitting tall, and either a few shoulder rolls that help to establish that open chest, shoulder, and upper back lovely posture, and or reaching up into the space above with both arms, and then lowering down as you exhale. Full, complete breaths. Good. All right, getting that nice sense of uprightness and marching steps. How about a little bit of opening out with those marching steps with support, or maybe on your own internal strength? That might also be able to bring those arm curls in or arm reaches out in, wherever it needs to be for you to take this upper body, lower body, full coordination, and then back to center, plant, sit tall, full, complete breaths. Now, after we took the forward fold and have done so much great strengthening and engagement all through this deep core middle area of the body, let's get some more extension through there as best as we can. So if you have additional props, you may be wanting to use them here. I like to scoot forward on the seat of my chair more, and then that gives me the ability to lean back and recline using the back of the chair. And you all have different chair situations probably, so make that feel right for you. And then let's have you just take your right leg extending out at the hip, maybe pressing through the heel into the floor, or you might have another prop that you could rest it on. Either way, just fine. And reaching up and through with your right arm. Reaching, full, complete breaths coming through as well. And if the head is not being supported by your chair or whatever's beneath you, this is where you might want to take your other hand and place it somewhere, maybe at the base of the skull where the neck and the skull meet. So you've got that extra support there that you can enjoy even more of that lean back and lengthening throughout your body, especially this whole right side of yours. And then lowering on down when you feel complete. Arm and bring the foot into position, and full, complete breaths, feeling that nice, full, back to center position. From our center, let's take it back into the support of the chair behind you as it works well, and finally extending through your left leg, opposite leg, to press out through, getting as much length as you can, and leaning back. Maybe you have the support with the other hand on the chair as you reach up and out, but as on the first side, you might really like supporting your head with the hand and feeling the lovely length of your neck still in place as you recline back, reach back as much as you can. Full breaths here. And then coming on down, reaching or placing on the chair, also planting your left foot. Tone strong here. Maybe you're getting a little boost extra happening with the hands and shoulders, or reach out in front like you have a great, wonderful imaginary friend that can help you, but it's really all your deep internal core that is lifting you up off the seat of the chair, or the back of the chair at least, and then repositioning in your full upright seated position. Fantastic. Back to some marching steps. Feels so good just to let the body stretch out and open out and receive, especially after we've done so much concentrated work where we've strengthened, toned, done all these really important functional movements that help you get through your everyday life. But many of those movements tend to create shortening and tightening of certain parts of the body, and they kind of want to keep us kind of pulled forward into this position. So taking opportunities on a daily basis to find a way to open out from that very usual position that we kind of get pulled into more and more as we age. So that's what I'm going to invite you to do for the latter portion of this class today, and that can be using your chair and other props that could be helpful in letting you be as comfortable as possible as you stretch out and recline. You may be doing a one-sided thing, much like what we did before here, but if you're in the chair and you have the right support and you can do both sides at the same time, great. But this is also an opportunity for those of you that feel good and safe in your environment and want to move down onto the floor. And that means mindful movement, giving yourself a boost, giving yourself permission to come back to the chair, staying down low, or if you are going to stand up, really take that transition smoothly and feel your way as it's comfortable, feeling safe, and love using the chair and the other props around you so that you can make this transition eventually onto your back. So from table, that means shifting around your hips and then easing onto your back as it feels right for you. So for those of you that are able to safely and comfortably be on your hands and knees for any period of time, this segment is for you, because there's some great things that we do for our bodies if hands and knees is a workable position for you. So knowing that you do have options to modify, staying in the chair or otherwise, this is for the people that like to be down on the hands and knees and working from this position. Table pose. Knees lined up right below your hip joints and your hands or wrists more or less below your shoulder joints. You might like your hands a little bit further forward, perfectly fine. Now, toned abdominals, deep core, keeping you very stable from center and within as you shift the hips slightly back and then back up to table. Even more tone, perhaps, as you shift just slightly forward, keep the length of your spine, and then back to center or table pose. Again, shift, lengthen back, come back up, long lengthened spine, table, and any degree of shift forward. If this is feeling good, let's do it a couple more times. It's a real strengthening and stabilizing position. And then I'm going to do one more, shifting my hips on back. And back to table pose. Here's where you might want to take a resting pose or at least some counter stretch for a wrist one at a time, or coming into a kneeling position. If kneeling is comfortable for you, you might have some props that might make this more doable. And I know some of you really love child's pose, where you do sit back nicely onto the heels and let your body really relax. This is the stretch and often a great counter pose to many of the more intensive, strong, and complex things that we do on hands and knees. Full, complete breaths. If this does not work for you, some knees will just say absolutely not, then do not force it. But if it does work for you, feel free to stay longer. And when you're ready, come back up into table pose. Making any little adjustments. We're going to be doing a great, highly effective balancing, core strengthening exercise here next. Some people call it bird dog. I call it more opposite arm reach, leg length, and this does also very much get us into a very functional movement that I will talk about here. But let's start by warming it up. From your center, you're going to try to extend one leg back behind you, and we might want to start by flexing the foot and actually grounding your toes into the floor, so you've got connection and leverage there. And then after you feel that your hips and pelvis are still pretty much balanced and squared off towards the floor, chest and shoulders are as well, that same arm that is with the lengthened leg back there, that's going to be your strong, stable arm, and then the opposite arm reaches out in front. But for some, that may be reaching more across the floor or whatever out there in front of you, and eventually as you develop the strength in the upper back, being able to reach that arm up to about parallel off the floor. Now, where the really good balance part of this comes into play is if you can lift the other leg that was lengthened off the floor and maybe more towards parallel, then you're really getting into some awesome body awareness, deep core strengthening, and coordinating the upper and lower bodies in a pretty novel way, which is very useful and transferred to being upright in some important positions. Lowering down both hand, knee, coming back to center. What would feel good? Do you need a counter stretch for wrists? Do you want to sit back into your child's pose? Find what feels best for you. When you're ready, coming back up to switch over to the other side. So let's start with the leg component, bringing an extension back out through there, grounding through the toes, into the floor, the sticky mat, the grass, whatever you may have, and then squaring off hips, pelvis, strong deep core, shoulders, chest also squared off nicely, and then it's going to be opposite arm, stabilizing strongly all the way through and reaching out with the opposite arm, then the lengthened leg, and either up and away or out as long as possible, more across the floor. The arm position, again, you want to honor your shoulders, so if you need to change that angle any way you can, but then also eventually, if possible, getting that extension through and lift of the leg, opposite arm leg lengthening about parallel to the floor, even a little teeter-tottering, not a problem. And you just place that hand down, bend the knee if you need to come down sooner. But this is also what's so great about this as a balancing challenge, is that you're very close to the floor, and your risk if you do tip over is very, very low compared to when you're standing. Full, complete breaths, and whenever you feel complete, bending, lowering, and planting. What would feel really good now after holding that? Full, complete breaths. Anything that you like. Now, one more thing in this hands and knees position. Many of you have been joining me in one degree or another of planking now in our classes and on your own. So planks, traditional planks, we would want to start on hands and knees, and if that does work for you. So we're going to demonstrate and practice a couple traditional planks, but there are many ways to modify. Say, for example, if the shoulders or wrists don't want to be taking all that weight and pressure, you might be exploring your forearm position, elbows below the shoulders, clasped hands, whatever works there for you. Otherwise, there's also the option of staying in a low plank versus a full plank, and the low plank is with your knees still on the floor and coming into that plank-like board straight line, but that would be from your knees up through the rest of the body and beyond. Still really great for strengthening. But for those that would like a more traditional full plank, we'll start with one leg at a time. After you get your good hand position, place the toes, the ball of the foot, maybe a little press back into the heel, even just hovering the opposite knee off the floor for a few breaths is a great way to build the strength needed to one day actually step back and have both legs, both sides of the body working equally. And then whenever you're ready, you can bend, lower, and come back on down. Remember, for the plank challenge, it's more about how you can hold strong and steady throughout while taking full, complete breaths. When any of those start to falter at all, then it's time to come out and take a rest, and then maybe do another round. I'm going to demonstrate how I went into that other one and with the opposite side this time. So other leg is going to start off with the extension, making sure the arms are in a really good position. Remember, you're trying to push the floor away, and then maybe even just hovering the other knee off the floor. And this is great. I really feel it in my abdominals and deep core, and that can be warming up toward either coming back to your more stable position, and eventually maybe even getting you to that place where you can move into your full plank, where again both sides of the body really take over. And breathing. Even if you're quivering, that's not the problem, but all the other body stability and alignment is important as you breathe. So nice little review of planks for those of you that are good with being on the floor on your hands and knees. So from here, I'm going to take it on down to my back. And this is a great time to make use of these deep, strong core muscles and body awareness to ease on down and stretch out onto your back. Okay, finding that good centered place. Any extra props that you may need for comfort, and easing on down. So, once you find that support of the floor, the surfaces beneath you, trust it, use it, maybe do a few little movements, hips, pelvis, full length of spine, and hugging in one knee at a time, or possibly even both knees at the same time. And then you're ready eventually to do that full body lengthening and stretch out. One side at a time, like we did in the chair, absolutely fine. Using the floor, using all the surfaces beneath you to really stretch out. And then moving to your other side. But if this has felt just absolutely awesome and you've had no issues that feel like discomfort, pressure, or pain, then why not go for both sides at the same time, reaching up and out and through. Your arms might like to be a little bit more out to the sides, perfectly fine, whatever works for you as you breathe, full, complete breaths. Notice how I'm also engaging through my legs from my low back and hips, stretching out and kind of pressing into the soles of my feet or my heels. Like it's even more of a feeling of that extension all the way through. Full breaths. And then finding a nice comfortable position for the arms and bending your knees, plant the feet to the floor. You might get a little bit of inner thigh stretch here, using the support and gravity. And so opening the knees out in opposite directions, drawing the soles of your feet towards each other or together, and letting things open out, and hips, pelvis, inner thighs getting more of that expansion here. You will get some in the hip flexors as well, which is very useful. See if you can take some nice deep belly breaths. Head and neck in a good position. You can make any little adjustments for that. And then square off, point the nose more straight up with a long lengthened neck, a few more breaths. And then bringing the legs back up in, centering, getting a little bit more parallel out of the hips and pelvis. Maybe a hugging in would feel really good. Maybe planting the feet and a little bit of a press, bridge pose, tone and stabilizing all the way through into the low back. Maybe some pelvic tilts. And then eventually we'll go to the full extension once again, which might mean a little extra support with props behind the head and the neck, a bolster under the knees, whatever helps you feel like you can stretch out really comfortably, expanding and letting go into all the surfaces beneath you. Here we go, settling into our practice of conscious relaxation. Now that you are settling and becoming very still, allowing your whole body to feel cradled in a loving support, and noticing your breath, scanning slowly through your body, as if your awareness were like a flashlight. And as the light shines into all these different regions throughout your body, the body responds to this light in relaxing and letting go more and more, feeling soothed by your awareness and accepting your invitation to let go more and receive more of this light and healing through relaxation. And sense the subtle movement of your breath, flowing in, flowing out. Perhaps you can detect the cool air that passes in through your nose, maybe through your mouth, and then that warmer, moister air that passes back out on your exhalation. And there's a subtle rise through your chest and belly, and a gentle falling on your exhalation. And it may be very, very subtle, but very enjoyable to watch this flow, the intelligence in your body to receive as you inspire and let go as you expire. And imagining how that every breath cycle that you are taking is so much more profound than just that simple act of respiration. And your exhalations, feeling even more of a letting go. It may be more of a physical letting go of tension, discomfort. It may be more of a mental or emotional letting go of resistance or stress. Effortlessly being released and harmlessly dissolved away with your exhalations. And now focus on the wonderful feeling of your inhalations that come in and cause a gentle expansion all throughout your rib cage, chest, maybe even very, very deep down into the belly. And know that each of these inhalations is also a profound receiving and accepting, an expansion of light and renewal, a receiving of healing and support, effortlessly flowing in and saturating not only your whole body, but your mind and consciousness as well. You may feel it or see it as a light, maybe with some form, or it may just be a feeling, a sense in other ways. But just knowing that with each inhalation that you take so easily and effortlessly, this receiving and expanding more and more is taking place on whatever level needed. And now, bringing awareness back to those exhalations that so easily follow these beautiful expanding inhalations. And now, you might sense that these exhalations are also a giving back. So after you have received so fully all you need, expanded more into the fullness of who you really are, it is so natural to give back to the earth, back to the community that you are in, back to your family, back to yourself, back to a feeling of divinity and connection to Source and the creation of this whole universe. Every exhalation can be a beautiful return and a giving back. Love and light and support and care. So as you continue on with this meditation just a bit longer, how does it feel for you to inhale this knowing, this energy, this light, and to exhale and to let go and give back? It may be so subtle, it's hard to distinguish. And it may be something quite profound with imagery and great importance and meaning for you in some way. And even if you might be drifting in and out of consciousness into sleep, you still hear my words and my guidance as if it's easily coming in through you, from you. And knowing that even your very gentle, soothed, relaxed breaths are carrying this profound energy and meaning with them in every moment. Now, once again, bring your awareness through your body slowly, shining your beautiful light and loving awareness throughout your whole body. You may want to focus in different regions and areas one at a time and take it all in that way. Or you may find that you can take in the awareness of the light throughout your entire body, mind, and consciousness as a global awareness. Your whole being, radiant and awakened with your awareness all at the same time. Whatever feels right for you, as you gradually, slowly, and completely connect. You may also identify the senses, the feeling of air upon your skin, those points of contact and relative pressure from all the supportive areas beneath you and around you. Any sounds that you can detect, both very close in around you or further out. Taking those in. Maybe there's some tastes in your mouth or some scents that you can smell. Just taking that in. And there may be some other awarenesses through other senses that we have as we awaken more and more to the fullness of our whole being. More awarenesses. And eventually, the awareness of the body, but renewed, refreshed, as you choose to come back into your body. Try doing so very deliberately and systematically, feeling that sense of light and expansion and heightened awareness as you choose to wiggle your toes and move through your feet little by little as it feels good, and into your hands and your fingers, your thumbs, your whole back, the length of your spine, all the way up into your neck, feeling the support of your head, the softness of your jaw, the smoothness of your cheeks, and invite forth a smile. Even as you are so relaxed in all the other areas, still well supported, feel the energy of the smile. A smile just for you, coming up through your cheeks, your lips, your jaw, maybe all the way up into the energy of the eyes, joining in with this sweet smile. Feel the engagements, any sense awarenesses as you choose that degree of smile that is just right for this time, in this moment. You may want to start to mindfully blink your eyes, open and close, open as you take in more of the visual field around you, appreciating that fully. The awareness of your head and your neck. And expansion maybe a bit more through the chest and the rib cage, belly. Bringing a little more movement through the arms. Maybe they like to stretch out or in, or any way that would feel good and awakening and energizing. Down through your legs, feet, perhaps bending the knees, planting your feet on the floor, or other little hip movements. Maybe there's a stretch now that your body is just calling for. And it easily flows into whatever that may be, knowing it is so good and beneficial for you as you reconnect and awaken back into your body as it is in the present moment, and lovingly preparing all of you to move on into the rest of your day. Or maybe it's your evening and you are ready to settle right on into a blissful sleep. Whatever it may be, you are well prepared for it, and making it the most beneficial, healing, and loving way that you are stepping forth and opening into whatever is next for you on your journey. And whether you're still very relaxed, or if you've chosen to stretch and awaken the body and maybe come into a little more of an upright, seated position that is comfortable for you, reconnect with your heart space, either just with your imagination and inner awareness, or perhaps by joining your hands together as in a prayer position, bringing those hands right on into your heart center, or perhaps an open palm and the opposite hand resting right on top of that in your heart space, or wherever it feels right, in connection and acknowledgement and in deep gratitude, receiving the blessings of this practice and the gratitude being given and received. So thank you so much for joining me in this special outdoor class. I hope you enjoyed the environment around me as much as I have. And as always, I am so grateful to each and every one of you for being here with me today. Namaste.